things. Great. So welcome to our presentation for welcoming you to the program, to the Pilot Volunteer Wetlands Monitoring Program. And we're going to give you a little bit of an orientation about what's going on and how we're going to proceed with the program. We're thrilled that you're all here. We have, it looks like, dozens of people on the call, so this is wonderful. I'm very excited to have you here. We know that you have a lot of things to do with your time, and we are really grateful that you've chosen this program to spend your valuable time with. I'm going to proceed to the next slide. And review with you. A lot of you guys have probably already seen some more information about this, which is probably why you signed up. But I'll give a quick review of what we're doing and how it came about. Carolina Wetlands is partnering with NC State University and RTI International to do this program that is a result of a grant from the EPA. And it's a volunteer monitoring based program, and we are going to be embarking upon citizen science for this. And so that's where you guys come in. You're the citizens and you're going to help us do some science out in the wetlands. We're going to establish some procedures and methods for hopefully what will be a sustainable program to take this type of monitoring and education program across the state. So just to give you a quick introduction to who all is involved in this virtual team that we've put together for the program. This is the project team. I put myself at the top only because I'm your main contact. Certainly, there are a lot of really incredible people on this team. I just wanted to put myself there at the top so that you could see that that's the phone number if you need anything. That's the email address for me. If you have any questions, so I'm Patty Cervenka, and I am the volunteer coordinator and main contact. And as such, I will be your main contact for everything. I'm gonna go through this list real quick and let everyone who's on here that is in attendance go through and kind of give a quick hello and explanation of maybe what your role is on the team. I'll start with Rick, who is the brand newly minted executive director of Carolina Wetlands, though he's been involved in Carolina Wetlands since the inception. But Rick, you want to say a couple sentences about yourself? You're muted though.
Thank you. Yeah, that always helps to unmute. Yeah, I used to be president of the board, and then I got demoted to executive director. So that's all good and bad. It's good. It's good. It's a good change for the organization, and hopefully a good change for me. Even I've been working myself to death the last couple of months. But this project is really important. Just real quickly, I think I told some of you while we were chatting in the beginning, but it kind of grew out of the North Carolina Wetlands Monitoring Program that went on from about 2004 to about 2014. And it was funded by the EPA. Myself and Jenny Baker carried it through. There was some temporary people like Amanda Johnson who helped us out for a while, and it was really considered one of the best programs in the nation. And the EPA was very excited for the program, and then it was suddenly ended in 2014. And the EPA was not happy because they had basically been holding up North Carolina as the model for doing wetlands monitoring to other states that were not participating, and there were some participating, but not many. And so it was really unfortunate. So I know when I left Diener at the time, the Department of Environment and Natural Resources. I'm saying a lot and I shouldn't, but I'm going to say it anyway. I left and formed Carolina Wetlands Association, but I also went to Dr. Mike Birchall, and talked him into going for a grant to kind of do some of the monitoring that we were still doing in hopes that maybe somehow the wetlands monitoring program may pick up again. And there's some signs in the Department of Environmental Quality that it might be picking up again. But this was also an idea, is that after Dr. Birchall finished his grant assignment on that, was that to maybe try to slide it over to a volunteer wetlands monitoring program, and to try to do it this way with volunteers, and not and to collect good data, good scientific data, not as much as we used to, and maybe not as intense as we used to, but still a very good quality, and that would tell us, give us a good indication of the condition of the wetlands. So that's kind of how this grew out, and we have high hopes for this program. And if this works out and the EPA's happy with it, hopefully we can get some more funding. But the intent is to spread it out throughout the state slowly but surely as we go along. So that's the short story. There's a much longer version that if you're interested, let me know and I'll talk to you. Other than that, Patty, please go before I say anything else.
I was going to say, okay, that's all the time we have for tonight. So just kidding. Now let's, so I just wanted to move on to introducing Amanda Johnson. She is a volunteer with the Carolina Wetlands Association, and she's a project coordinator. Amanda, do you want to say a couple things? A couple sentences?
Sure, yeah, thanks. Yeah, thanks, Patty. And thank you everybody for being here. We are very excited to get this off the ground. Everyone on this slide and more people have worked really hard to get this program going. So as a project coordinator, I've done a lot of work getting the project set up in iNaturalist and getting our data forms together that we'll be using to record data, and also going through some of the protocols on how we can collect data. So that's my main role, and I'll also be out in the field with you guys to help collect the data.
Awesome. Thanks, Amanda. Is Kim here? Because Kim is with RTI International, and she's the Carolina Wetlands Association board president, and so she has kind of a dual role here. Is Kim around tonight? I don't know if she's going to make it. Doesn't look like she's here.
It doesn't
so anyway,
look like it.
Anyway, she's awesome. So just all you need to know. She's awesome. But she will be helping with, RTI International will be really dealing with the data that comes in and compiling that and putting it into some sort of portal that we're all going to be able to access. So I'll go on next to Thomas Reed. He's with Wake County, and I'll let him explain what his role is. I saw that Thomas was here, right?
Yes, I'm here. So hey, everybody. My name's Thomas. I am so I work with the Wake County Open Space Program, as well as I'm a volunteer with Carolina Wetlands Association. I'm kind of helping out with this project mainly as a herpetologist, and kind of helping out with some of the amphibian inventory efforts. Really looking forward to working with you all in the field.
Awesome. Thanks, Thomas. And I appreciate that you have chosen a winter version of a wetland behind you as well, like I did. I was surprised at how beautiful the wetland was in the winter as much as it was in the summer when we were there. So I like this picture. So next, I would like to introduce Dr. Michael Burchell with NC State University. He's the professor of biological and agricultural engineering department. Mike.
Hey, good evening, everybody, and thank you for joining us. Like has been said many times, we're really excited to get this program off the ground. We've done quite a bit of planning, and we're ready to stop talking and start doing. And so everybody here is going to really contribute to that, and we're really excited about that. I've been working in wetlands since the mid 1990s in different aspects, from natural wetlands to looking at how to restore lost wetlands, and then monitoring them to see whether or not we're achieving the functions that we hope to more recently wastewater treatment wetlands and stormwater wetlands. So I've touched a little bit of all the different aspects of wetlands and studied wetlands for a long time, and I can tell you that there's a lot that we can still learn about wetlands, and a lot that can be done to not only learn about wetlands, but to educate about wetlands, not only for the people that are on this call and the volunteers that will be participating, but any new knowledge that we learn through things like this will be really important for information to general citizens. And it's those citizens and getting the support from those citizens that trickle up into state government to help really support the protection of wetlands in North Carolina. I serve as the principal investigator, as they call it, with the EPA. The grant money that for this grant is funneled through NC State to our partners at Carolina Wetlands Association and RTI. So if this for some reason doesn't work out, it's my neck on the line. But I can look right now at all of your faces, and I now finally realize for the first time this is going to work out perfectly. This is going to be highly successful. No, I'm just kidding. I knew we were going to be successful the whole time. So I'll turn it back over to Patty. I really look forward to getting out into the field with you and really learning from you, as well as helping you learn some of the things that we find out at these different great wetland sites. So talk to you soon.
Thank you. And last but not least, also at NC State University is a graduate student that we are lucky enough to get to work with. She's also at the Biological and Agricultural Engineering Department, and that's Molly. Molly, I saw you were here.
Yes, I'm here. Thanks, Patty. Yeah, so I'm Molly. Nice to meet everyone virtually. So I am working at NC State with Dr. Michael Birchall, getting my master's degree. So this is something I'm helping out with as part of my thesis. And, I am the designated grad student, so I basically help out with a little bit of whatever they can find that I can do. So yeah, I'll be out in the field with you guys and hopefully helping out however I can. So yeah, looking forward to getting out there soon. Thanks.
Now I will chip in as her major advisor. She's already done a lot behind the scenes so far. So
appreciate that.
Yes. Awesome. Well, that's great. So that is the team, and you will meet everyone out there. I think everyone's going to be getting their hands dirty out there with these guys. So, so I think there's no better person to talk about wetlands than the biggest fan of wetlands that I know, Rick Savage. So Rick is going to take over the next few slides, and he's going to talk about what is a wetland, why we're doing this. So Rick, if you could unmute and talk to us about wetlands.
Okay, thank you. Well, hopefully all of you got some idea, but these descriptions you see here are pretty good. They're, places where water accumulates, and sometimes they have standing water, or sometimes the soil is just soggy, and it can vary a lot depending on the type of wetlands and the hydrological sources as to how much water they have. I'll talk about the types of wetlands at the different sites we're going to, and that'll explain some of what I mean there too. But the soil, again, can be seasonally or permanently saturated or flooded, and as it continues to be flooded with water, it becomes hydric, so it becomes hydric soil. And then we have plants that just love to grow in water and hydric soil, and we'll see a lot of those. The bald cypress trees in the picture to the right are one of those types of plants that love water, and they're well adapted to doing that. So that is kind of like, what is a wetland? There are many other things to consider. Generally, they have to be, they have to have hydrological source, hydric soils, and hydrophytic plants. And that's mostly to be what's called jurisdictional. And that's wetlands that are officially protected under the Clean Water Act. And wetlands that don't always meet that definition may not be protected, and therefore they may not be jurisdictional. But we look at all wetlands as wetlands, and they need to be protected. And so that's where we look at things a little bit differently. But I understand the jurisdictional definitions, and so let's go to the next slide before I go too deep. So yeah, why do we need wetlands? And again, hopefully you know some of this, but one of the biggest things is water quality. Wetlands help clean the water. They do it through filtering water by just holding it, or maybe even letting it flow through a wetland if it's next to a stream or a river, or sometimes it percolates through the soil and gets filtered that way and cleaned, and the water improves. In fact, one of the more interesting studies we did was what was called headwater wetlands, and we have one of those that we're going to do, that we measured the water quality in the headwater wetland itself, and then measured the water quality like 200 feet downstream, and there was a noticeable improvement in water quality. The wetland was definitely cleaning the water before it sent it on downstream, which was really exciting to see. Of course, habitat is one of the critical things for wetlands. I think 50 to 75% of the endangered and threatened species require wetlands to some extent. Especially along the coast and the estuaries, fish habitat is really critical. Today, given the increased storm surge, increased frequency of rains, and intensity of rains, wetlands are playing a critical role in flood mitigation. And that's one of the things this organization is doing. Actually, is we've got some funding to do that, but we're looking at vulnerable communities and seeing if there's a way to use their wetland resources to help mitigate some of their flooding issues. And it's very exciting work. And it's got a lot of potential, and we're starting to get funding for it. And it's just, you know, it's a great way for our wetland resources to be utilized in a really positive way to benefit humans. Erosion control, they're very important for that, again, especially along shorelines of any type, along the coast in particular. Cultural and spiritual significance, that depends on the locale and everything, but I will even say that here in Raleigh along Walnut Creek, there's stories of the vulnerable communities in the Southeast Raleigh that cleaned up their wetlands along Walnut Creek, around the Walnut Creek Wetland Park, and to have it more functional and reduce the flooding downstream where they lived. So that has that kind of cultural significance. And there's other stories along that line too. Climate change is another important aspect. Wetlands sequester carbon, especially wetlands with peat soil. They sequester a huge amount of carbon. But anytime we can make a wetland more functional, we're going to increase that carbon store, and that is a way to help reduce the effects of climate change. Groundwater recharge and discharge, that's very important. Our aquifers are severely depleted, but wetlands help recharge those aquifers. Recreation and tourism is a big thing now. The idea of wetland parks is becoming very popular, and we're going to be involved with one of those projects too, maybe two of them. But Robbins Mill Pine that we'll go to is a great kayaking place, but when we go there, we have to do work. You go kayak later, okay? And in some places, food sources and medicine. There's a really great project in Minnesota where the indigenous people are starting to grow wild rice like they did hundreds of years ago in their wetlands. So that's very exciting. So okay, so that's enough of that. I mean, wetlands are very valuable, and that's the bottom line, Patty. Okay, so this is something we'll do out in the field. It's a North Carolina wetland assessment method. It's a paper and pencil technique to evaluate wetland function. It was developed about 15 years ago, I think. I helped develop it, and it's an interesting thing to do because it's sometimes used instead of taking data like we're going to be taking. So it's a good way for you guys to sort of understand that there's levels of data collection, and one of them is like, having this form, and you read the form, look around and check off a box as to what the conditions are, and the wetland condition is determined by how it's scored on that form, that paper and pencil form, as opposed to collecting hydrology data or soil data or water quality data or vegetation data. Okay, so we can talk more about that too. So hydrology, again, is important for wetlands. I mean, they have to have a hydrological source. If they're along the coast, there could be a tidal influence, but that's not going to be the case here. The landscape position is always very important, like near a lake, river, stream, or in an upland area where there's would be just primarily depression and accumulation of rainwater. Soil type, it could be all kinds of things, but organic soil, muck and peat is the most exciting. And we'll see a little bit of muck, so it's great. But yeah, and we'll also analyze the soil types too. We'll teach you how to do that. That's always kind of fun to do. Vegetation structure, what kind of plant community it has, what does it primarily trees or herbaceous plants, or is it evergreen or deciduous, and so forth. And we will be doing a vegetation survey with iNaturalist in the summer. So we'll talk more about that then. But yeah, it's very important to collect that vegetation data. And then we have ecoregions anyway. So there's different types of wetlands in the coastal plain versus the Piedmont versus the mountains. And we could go a lot into that, but we're in the Piedmont right now. But I presume you guys will know that if I said about 95% of our wetlands are in the coastal plain, you would say, I agree with that. And if you do agree with that, you'd be correct. Okay, go ahead, Patty. Okay, so here's our 3 sites. It is Robinson Mill Pond on the yellow gold star. The darker star is Hemlock Bluffs, and the bluish star is Mason Farm. Robinson Mill Pond is going to have riverine swamp forest, which pretty much means it's got standing water all year long, and that's what it is. And there's nothing else there but riverine swamp forest. It has got 2 fascinating, significant aspects to it. One is the furthest west you will find a cypress swamp, and it's right here in Wake County. And also, and this is the one I love, is that this is the furthest west you'll find a moccasin or a cottonmouth, and they're both there. So hopefully we'll see some. We'll see cypress trees for sure. And of course, it's owned by and managed by Wake County Parks and Recreation. So, and Thomas is very involved with Robinson Mill Pond. Hemlock Bluffs is kind of in the center of them. It's in Cary. Oddly enough, Hemlock Bluffs is known for its hemlock trees growing on a bluff, north-facing bluff. These hemlock trees are supposed to be only in the mountains, so it's very unusual to have them here. It's left over probably from the Ice Age, but they have some fascinating wetlands. They have floodplain pools. They have bottomland hardwood forest, and we will be looking at both types. And one of the distinctions that Hemlock Bluffs has as far as wetlands go is that they at one time had more species diversity than any other area of a similar size in the state, maybe even the nation, I think. Now that was several years ago. I don't know if that's still true, because development has definitely played a role there. But it's actually a state park, but it's run by the town of Cary. And then there's Mason Farm Biological Preserve, which is run by UNC Botanical Gardens. And there's a freshwater marsh and a riverine swamp forest and a headwater forest. And so we will be, it's 3 types there. We'll be sampling from all 3 of those. And the freshwater marsh and the riverine swamp forest is going to be very interesting, because we're going to be taking samples of water for water quality analysis near the sources of these, near a golf course and parking lots. and then taking water quality samples downstream on the other side of the marsh and see what kind of improvement we get in the water quality, because we know there's stuff coming from the golf course and from those parking lots that are going into the water. So this will be a fun aspect of the project to see how those wetlands are going to affect the water quality. So that'll be fun and exciting. And actually Mason Farm really wants to know how that data looks. So they're really glad we're doing this. Okay, go ahead, Patty. Okay, your turn, Patty.
All right, thanks, Rick. Yeah, I wouldn't even attempt to talk about all that stuff the way Rick could. He's got it all in his lockbox brain there. So I'm going to kind of quickly roll through the details of the program. Some of this stuff may look familiar to you, but some may be new to you. But I'll go through it pretty quick so that we have some time to answer questions. But I also want to encourage you to put questions in the chat as they come up as well. So, or raise your hand. So the EPA has, they seem to be developing quite a robust support for citizen science programs. And so this is their description of what citizen science is. And in particular with this program, we're hoping that it will allow citizens like you and people from the public to come out and get hands-on experience so that you can really have a better understanding of the importance of wetlands and help us boost public awareness by not just you learning about it, but also spreading the word about what you're learning about them. And also just an increased participation in overall watershed stewardship, and in particular, wetland protections. So we are going to go out into the field and we are going to collect data. So as volunteers, we are going to go get our hands dirty. We're going to check the water levels, water quality. We're going to record plant and wildlife presence using two tools, WildNote and iNaturalist. iNaturalist, I've sent out an email encouraging everyone to download that on your phone. We'll use, in the picture you see here, we'll use an iPad like this to record all of our findings and do the surveys for WildNote and iNaturalist. We're going to record what we find, what pictures we take and what we identify out there as far as plant and wildlife. We're going to learn about how these wetland conditions are related to ecosystem integrity and functions and services, and how some stressors can negatively impact wetlands. Your crew of scientists that are going to be out there are going to help us all learn this. And then we're going to contribute all this data that we're all collecting to a data portal, which will be used for making some helping to improve statewide wetland resource management and restoration, and assist in some environmental decision making, and also detect the effects of climate change on the wetlands. We've kind of covered this a little bit already. The hydrology, what we're gonna be collecting is water level information, hydrology information, water chemistry. We're gonna this is a picture of Rick with Mike looking at the color of the soil. So we're going to look at soil and analyze that and record the data on those. And we'll do vegetation and wildlife, specifically focusing on amphibians, because from what I understand, amphibians are a great detector of the health of a wetland. So that's why amphibians are the one. The primary objectives of the program are to collect the data, collect reliable data. This is why we do have some training that we're going to need to do with you folks. And then that will help with future wetland mitigation and watershed planning, and hopefully inform state water quality programs, and some understanding climate change implications. And then we're going to improve state wetland resource management. This is one of the major objectives, is to make sure that we can impart this information upon regulators and resource managers and environmental consultants and all the different state agencies that might use this data to make decisions. We're going to increase understanding by the public and the scientific community and local governments and mitigation providers about why wetlands matter and the value of wetlands, their relationships to ecosystem integrity, functions and services, how different stressors will negatively impact wetlands. And finally, we really want to be able to take what we learned from this program and expand it across North Carolina in a self-sustaining program of citizen science program across North and South Carolina. And now this is we're getting into the nitty gritty here. You do not need to write down any of these dates or anything. What I'm going to be doing is sending you an email with all the information that you will need. You may want to put the tentative dates of June, September, and December in your brain, but those are later in the year. The most important thing going on right now is going to be February 5th. We're going to go out to Robertson Mill Pond. This is regardless of which wetland you may have chosen or we're hoping to work in. The Robertson Mill Pond training session will be really helpful, and we're chosen to do it at one location where you'll get to see some wells being put in and participate in recording some of the surveys and some of the iNaturalist information right there on site, and you'll get hands-on learning experience right there. We'll also do some photo stations that we're going to set up and take pictures of the wetlands. February 19th and 20th, those dates are when we will do the sampling and the data collection and the monitoring. So that is February 19th is a Saturday, and that's going to be in the morning at Robertson Mill Pond. And then in the afternoon, we're going to be over at Hemlock Bluffs on the 19th. And on the 20th, the plan is to be at Mason Farm, sort of later in the day, in the afternoon, to allow people who would like to attend their church services or other services to do that in the morning, and then meet us out there in the afternoon. So as you can see from these 4 different boxes, you will be doing different things at different times of the year. What you just need to know right now is what we'll be doing in February. And so it will be water sampling. We're going to download the well data. We're going to record any wildlife we see. We're going to check soil and air temperature readings and do those photos we talked about. And then we're going to do in the wild note survey, we will answer questions to do the wetlands assessment for the 3 different wetlands we'll be at. And then Thomas is going to help us do amphibian surveys. So that's all happening in February. And because that's what we're going to be doing, we've got some training modules that we've put together and are still putting together for you, so that you can kind of feel a little more comfortable with what you're going to be working with out there. We're definitely using iNaturalist. I sent a link to a way to how to join the group, the VWMP iNaturalist group. And I'm going to put a link in the chat in just a minute to help you get straight to that. But you can go to iNaturalist on your phone, download it, and just start using it. It will not record anything about into our project yet. You can just kind of play with it and practice with it. Also, We'll be using WildNote. That's where we were talking about we're going to be doing filling in the surveys that are all on WildNote that Amanda put together for us. And that's going to help us collect a lot of different data about what we're seeing in the wetlands. Each time we meet at the wetlands, specifically this first time, I'll be going over a basic safety preparedness information, kind of just the high level, you know, what to watch out for. But we will have you read through the safety guidebook, and that's going to be, I'll send a link for where that's located as well, so you can look through that. The Fieldwork 101 is something I put together because as an inexperienced fieldwork person, I learned a lot in my first few times out in the field, and I wanted to impart that information to you. And so I put together a real quick 6-minute video or presentation, just what to wear, what to bring, and what to expect in the wetlands. So that is going to be on the information page that I'm sending out to you as well. And then finally, the really good stuff is how we're going to measure and what the methodology that we're going to be using to collect all this data. There's the 3 items here in bold with the little stars. That's what we're going to be doing on February 5th, water quality, amphibian, and general site visit monitoring. And the other 3 you see there, those will be later in the year. So what do you do next? So this is sort of just a recap of everything I've already just said. On January 26th, we were hoping to do something in person, but now we're going to just make this an on-demand video. So hopefully we'll be able to distribute that out to you and have you be able to view this around January 26th. That will help you get kind of familiar with, it'll be like a demonstration for water sampling and how to put in the wells, which Dr. Birchall will be doing. And then February 5th is the big day. If you can make it to that, that's going to be amazing. There's the form I'm sending you is going to also have the RSVP, so you can let us know if you're going to be able to make it to that. And then I mentioned February 19th and 20th are our first sampling days. iNaturalist, I already covered. There is our group. This link I'm also going to put in the chat for you, so you can cut it and paste it. And it's also something I sent out in an email to you. So go out there and practice with it, because it's a great tool. And if you're new to fieldwork, you'll be able to download that video and look through or watch the video on YouTube. We have it on our YouTube channel. And then we just do ask that you read through the whole safety guide so that you have made sure that you have read through every possible expectation that could be out there in the field, and the different wildlife we may encounter, and the different terrain and environment that we may encounter out there. And it also is important that you read through the COVID-19 vaccination requirements that we have at the back of that. Carolina Wetlands Association is requesting that everyone be vaccinated and bring a vaccination card or a picture of it, that we will just get a quick look at and check it off the list when we're checking everyone in. And then while we're in the field, masks will be optional because we'll be outside, but if you're in really close proximity to someone, we recommend that you wear a mask, but it is optional. And this is where the resource page is. You don't have to try to write all this down. I am going to put it in a few seconds into the chat, and you'll be able to go to that page. It will be kind of changing as I add things to it, so keep coming back to it, but this is your resource page. This is where I'm going to put everything that you will need to access. It's going to have the links to the videos. It's going to have wetland information, maps on how to get to the wetlands, links about each wetland, why they were chosen, other helpful links are on there. And then most importantly is going to be the schedule is going to be out there, and every one of the schedule items is going to have a little RSVP button. And if you can just let us know if you're coming. And if you have any issues, there'll be a comment section in there too, and you can let us know what your scheduling issues might be. So, and that's me again. So please feel free to call me or text me or email me. If you do text, make sure you tell me who you are, because I'll get a lot of texts. If it's not urgent, emailing me will work fine. I'll check my email pretty regularly. So please feel free to get in touch with me. And that is the presentation. And if we have any questions, Rick, did we have any questions in the chat yet?
Okay,
Patty,
go ahead. Go ahead,
I was
Amanda.
just gonna say, Patty, while you were talking, I put the link to the iNaturalist project in the chat for you.
Excellent. And
And
I'm going to drop a couple other things in that chat.
I put in
Going
the resource page, Patty, the link.
Oh, you did? Okay,
Yeah.
excellent.
So Megan said, can I sign up to receive emails about the program on the resource page? Are you, Megan? Are you with Audubon? Can you... Hello, Megan. Yes, I am. Okay. So Megan and John are not on your list, Patty, because they came here from Audubon.
Awesome.
And so why don't you go ahead and put them on your list? And I think we ought to drag them out to the sites.
And Sydney might also be on that. Sydney, is that, I haven't met you, but I think you're another Audubon volunteer.
Okay, I see that. Okay, so yeah, we ought to, really, you guys ought to just come out with this and learn what you can, and then we'll see what we can do. They're very interested. I think I told, you guys, this Mike Birchall and Amanda, about Audubon has got a site in North Raleigh. It's, what's it called? What's the name of it, John?
Horseshoe Farm Nature Preserve.
Yeah, and they're very concerned about the development that's going around there. So they want to learn how we're doing monitoring so they can do the same thing at their preserve and see and collect baseline data and see how development might be affecting it. So I think this is a great opportunity, and I welcome this. So great. Thanks for coming.
Could I ask each of you to just send me a quick email so I have your email addresses? That would be great. Or put them in the chat, or whatever you're comfortable with. But if you send me an email, I'll make sure I get you on my list.
Okay, and Leah Farr. So you didn't sign up with this, Leah? You how'd you get here? I mean, I'm glad you did. So yeah, Leah, if you got Patty's email, put your email in the chat, Patty.
Yes, but I know I have your information, Leah.
Okay. Okay, so this is great. Does anybody else have any questions? Or
I put the wrong email. Just ignore that one, please. Sorry.
Yeah, we gave her a Carolina Wetlands email.
I have a confession to make.
Yes, ma'am.
My husband, on the application he typed in, said that I was trained as a naturalist. No, I was trained as a, oh shoot, I just blanked out when I said it. A gardener through the Master Gardener program.
Okay.
Not a naturalist, but a net.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that's great. No prior experience is needed, and you might be a great help for our exotic and invasives mapping. So that's great.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, no problem, Reagan. We're looking forward to it. And hi, Maddie. I wanted to say hi to you. It's been a little while, but glad you're here.
Can I ask a question, Patty? The February 5 event, which is in Robertson Mill Pond Preserve, is that for all the volunteers or only for those that are assigned to that preserve?
It is for all the volunteers.
Okay.
Yeah, because we would love to be able to train everyone at one time, and just in the interest of time and getting out into the wetlands during this time of year, we want to try to get there before it gets too late in the year. And so our goal is to
Okay. Thank you.
to get out by the 19th. So at that point, we need to get everyone kind of trained around the 5th. So that would be great if everyone, no matter, and I'll reiterate this in an email to everyone, but if everyone could get to that, that'd be great.
And everyone needs to see Robinson Mill Pond anyway. It's a wonderful site. It really is.
So John Connors here. There's going to be equipment needed, I assume, for doing some of this work. Probably the 3 sites that are bona fide participants. Are you guys giving them equipment?
We'll have what you need. You need to have your own personal equipment as far as boots and clothing. And if you read, is that in the safety manual, Patty? What they need to have personally, or is that in your field 101?
It's in my field work 101.
Yeah,
it's in there, and it's yeah.
But as far as having, sampling bottles for water, water samples and tools to turn over logs to get to and, look for amphibians, we're going to provide all of that.
And also just to note that for collecting data for iNaturalist for the vegetation and amphibian surveys, we will have iPads for Carolina wetlands that you guys will use. And that's how we will collect the iNaturalist data. So you don't have to use your smartphone to collect that data. We'll be using our iPads. And then if you follow the project on iNaturalist, you'll be able to see all the data that we collect.
Okay.
So I just want to point that out too.
Yeah, and so that's in the early in the chat. Amanda put that link to how to get into how to sign up for our program in iNaturalist.
And and I want to go ahead and say hi to Danny. How are you doing? And to Carolyn. Good to see you guys. I haven't met you before, but I hope I will. So thank you for being here. And everybody else I've had some contact with, well, except for the Audubon folks, but John Connors I've known for a while. So he constantly disguises himself as a birder, but anyway.
There are a lot of birds in wetlands, so.
Oh, there are. There are. They really are, for sure.
So we have, if you don't mind, I would like to maybe share my screen and show you the resource page, because I think that might be kind of helpful.
I think that's a good idea, Patty.
Yeah, so let me actually get to it, and then I'll share it real quick. And this will, like I said, this will evolve. A lot of this information will also be emailed out, but I think this is a pretty good place. If you're looking for any information, you'll always have this as a place to go to. And I'm going to share this. It is, please be the right thing. Are you seeing a volunteer resource page?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Thumbs up. Okay. Excellent. Okay, so this is accessible through the Carolina Wetlands web page under Learn, and then there's the Pilot Volunteer Wetlands Monitoring Program. There's a link to this from there, or you can just go straight to it with this URL. It basically has the safety guide first, because that's the first thing that we kind of need you to take a look at and go through that. It's a lengthy document, but it's important. It's super important to go through that. Here's the schedule. This is tonight. And then each one of these that I've put together has the tentative time that we're going to be going out into the wetlands, first for the training and then for each of the wetland locations. And there's a little RSVP button on there that sends you to a form to just let me know if you're going to be there, because we don't want to leave anyone behind. If you're coming, we don't want to head into the forest without you. These wetland information tabs about each wetland has a map, and you can read about why they're a wetland treasure. And then basically you can get more information about each one has their own park website. So you can go to that. And then Fieldwork 101 is what I threw together for those of you who may want to get more comfortable with what you should be bringing and what to wear. And then there's also a slide in there that tells you what I'll be bringing, including a first aid kit. I'm CPR and first aid certified from the Red Cross now. And then this presentation will be on there if you want to share that with anybody, recruit any more people to join us. And then there's just some interesting links at the bottom here. So like I said, this will be changing. I'll be adding more dates to this as we lock those in, and other training sessions that will occur before the next season's sessions. So there's that.
We will also ask when we have sign-ins for the site visits that you sign indicating that you've read the safety manual. So please look at that.
And when Rick says, he hopes we see a snake, we haven't seen one yet, but we might. You never know. So and the one thing that if you do go to that Fieldwork 101, it's got pictures of us and the real experts, like what Dr. Burchell wears out in the field is a good thing to replicate, but it's not necessary. But it's got some information about how to be comfortable out there. We don't want anyone to be out there and be unprepared. Anything else, Rick?
I can't think of anything else, but anybody got any more questions? Any other questions? Are you excited? Are you excited about doing this? Thumbs up.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, good. This is fantastic. And I'm just going to give a shout out to Patty, Amanda, and Molly, because Mike and I just sort of like turn it over to them to a large extent, and they have done an amazing job of getting things ready. And we're very happy about that. And they just were fantastic. Thank you, Patty, Amanda, and Molly. You guys were great. Don't you agree, Mike?
Absolutely. I'm the one that had to twist your arm to say that.
Yeah, I know, because I keep saying, well, I taught Patty everything she knows. And so Mike told me, don't you say that tonight.
So the good news is now you know what we look like. So when you see us in the parking lot of these places, you'll know who to join, who to come up to. Please, like I said, any questions, email me, call me, text me. That's what I'm here for. That's my role. So I can't wait to meet all of you in person, even though I've met a couple of you in person already. This is great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay, well, just stay tuned to more emails and go to that resource page, because like Patty said, that's got everything you need there. And we will see you on the 5th. And be prepared to be sure to watch that video that should be out about the 26th on well installation. You really won't be you'll be helping with that, but it's fascinating to know what you need to do that. And then I think they'll be demonstrating water quality sampling also. So that video will be important. Go ahead.
And Thomas will be helping kind of go over some amphibian stuff as well.
Okay. Yes. All right.
I'm going to stop recording now. So